welcome back to another video with Kat about Raid Shadow Legends. Today we're going to talk about some even more things that I missed in Raid Shadow Legends. This is the third in a series of videos where I talk about weird niche stuff that happens in the game or things that just got added to the game and that I missed and that are super helpful for me, hoping that somebody else will see this and be like, oh my god, I didn't know how worked. What? Everybody's been here thinking what does that work?
You want him to do you so much you could do anything?
I promise I'm going to be a lot more clear as going forward as we go through this video. So before we start playing, if you want more great content like this, feel free to subscribe. But also, if you want to get started with Raid Shadow Legends, using the link in my description, you're going to get a fantastic start to the game. You start with the legendary attack champion, Corrado Foxhunter, and then you get 3 epic support and HP champions, all at different levels. Deacon Armstrong is one of the best epics in the entire game. Plus, use the promo code Monkey King to get Sun Wukong, my favorite legendary, super helpful champion, really interesting, great kit, and he's super useful, especially early on, and then later game, he's still really helpful for your account. So you give yourself a great start to the game, and that's really what matters. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is the way accuracy works. Boomer and I made a very detailed video about this a few weeks ago, and I never covered it fully on my channel, but if you want to look at the more detailed video, that's going to pop up here, but I'm going to give kind of a basics rundown because I thought accuracy was a lot more simple, but it is an incredibly complicated stat, and the way it works is pretty bonkers. So there's a lot of guides and graphics that explain how accuracy works in the game, but basically if you this is a kind of graph that I found through the Raid Shadow Legends subreddit. The x-axis down here is basically your accuracy minus the resistance of the champion. And then the y-axis up here is the percentage chance of you landing the debuff. So Geomancer here, a lot of main way his kit works is he places a lot of debuffs on the opposing team, and that's what makes him so powerful. It gives him, he does a crazy amount of damage in the process, so accuracy is everything. And you can see down there that I built up a stupid amount of accuracy on him. Now, we're going to talk about why that's probably a bad idea for me to build that much accuracy on him. So if we look at the graph here, so if you have your accuracy minus the resistance of the opposing team, of the opposing champion or boss, let's say my Geomancer, his accuracy is 200 and Fire Knight's resistance is 240. That means that about 50% of the time, those debuffs are going to land, which is not that good. So the idea is the higher the accuracy you build, the higher the chance that you can land those debuffs. But the thing is, no matter how much accuracy you build, you can see that up here at the top, it flatlines and it plateaus. So no matter, even if you've built a crazy amount of accuracy, like you see that I have on Geomancer, the chances of landing those debuffs doesn't increase past a certain point. So if generally looking at the graph, you can see that about having 20 or 40 accuracy higher than their resistance means that you're going to stop landing debuffs any more than if you built it up several hundred accuracy higher than the enemy's resistance. So I knew that my accuracy had to be higher than the enemy's resistance if I really wanted my champions to apply those debuffs and do what they were supposed to do. But I didn't know that there is, across the board, generally a 3% chance that debuff will still not land. Now, that's what gets really tricky about this. So, for example, looking in Geomancer's kit, here's a good example. So his A1 has a 30% chance of placing a decreased accuracy debuff. And since I have him fully booked up, that is a now 40% chance of him placing that accuracy. Now, that is not a 40% chance that he places the debuff. That is a 40% chance that you will get to do the 97% chance. I know that's super confusing, but basically the way I can say it is when you have a 40% chance of placing that debuff, you basically have a 60% chance that it is not going to place at all. There's a first dice roll in that sense, so no matter how high your accuracy is, it is still only 97% chance that you're actually going to place that debuff. So the point I'm getting at here is, and there's a lot of guides that explain like which bosses or champions have specific resistance. So your accuracy needs to be higher than that, but at a certain point, it's not going to improve your chances of placing those debuffs. So if you can, don't do this and instead focus on other stats, like building his resistance or building his attack or defense or HP. Build something else, because building your accuracy up like crazy is not going to help you at a certain point. So you got to balance. I know that was a really complicated thing to explain. I still kind of don't understand it completely. I don't know why you just don't have 100% chance of placing the debuff, but whatever. That's my thing. This also has to do with affinities. This is the second thing that I was not familiar with. I thought affinities were as simple as a rock, paper, scissors kind of situation. It is not. What I learned from this is, so let's keep on focus on Geomancer, who's a force type. He is going to be stronger than Magic, our blue. And what that means is he has the affinity advantage, which means he has a higher crit rate. He has a 30% chance of getting a strong hit. When you get a strong hit, you have 30% more damage. Cool. Great. Now, what happens if Geomancer is up against a spirit champion, which has the advantage over him? He has the affinity disadvantage here. In this case, he will do 20% less damage. He has a 15% less crit rate, and he also has a 35% chance of landing a weak hit. If he lands a weak hit, there is even more damage that goes down, but the worst part of that is that there is 0 chance, regardless of accuracy, regardless of the dice roll, he will not activate any of his debuffs. He will not place HP burn, his decreased accuracy. If that affinity is not favorable, he will not place anything. And this is why Void champions are so important, because they have 0 chance. They're neutral to the affinity wheel. They're just chilling there in the middle. And this means they have no penalties or advantages, but that also means you don't have to worry about any possibility of them landing a weak hit. Okay, so for example here, we're going to use Supreme Gallic, who is a legendary Void champion that I have. So I don't have him fully booked up, which means that right now he's operating on a 75% chance of placing his HP burn and block burn debuff for 2 turns. There's a 25% chance that will fail, but then a 75% chance of the 97% chance. But the nice thing is, him being a Void champion means that when I'm fighting in dungeons, like right now they're fighting in Minotaur, if he's fighting in any of the stages that have the regular triad of affinities, the Force, Spirit, and Magic, he has no disadvantages here, which means he is not going to have an issue placing the debuff. As long as he wins that 75% dice roll, he is going to be fine. There's no chance of him landing a weak hit on the Minotaur, which means the odds are still higher in his case that he will land his debuffs. Now, this can be tricky when you are working in some other areas of the game, like Dragon's Lair. You'll get into some of these other stages and this is why some teams will not work when you get into these higher when you get into these higher levels, because the affinity does not allow for those champions to place their debuffs because they're landing weak hits all the time. So that was a lot of technical, kind of behind the scenes, really specific stuff that is going on in game. So we're going to relax a little bit and go into some more basic stuff. And this might be the most mind-blowing thing that I have recently discovered in the game, that was brought to my attention in the game. I have been asking for this forever, but I guess within the last couple months, they added the oil mixer. So if you're familiar with the potion mixer for all of your affinity, for your champion ascension, now they have the exact same thing for the gear ascension. And there is also an extract mixer for when you are ascending accessories as well. So this is amazing to me, because I was asking for this, especially earlier on, because I was really 6 months ago, I was really struggling with getting anywhere in Sand Devil. I was just not having a good time with that. And I really wanted to upgrade certain pieces of gear to get them to the superior. I needed a lot of superior oils, and I had a ridiculous amount of greater and lesser oils. So I was like, well, why isn't there a mixer the same way there's a potion mixer? There is now. Now, the only disadvantage here is that you are probably going to blow through a lot of silver and a lot of resources really fast to get what you need to. But this does allow earlier game players to have access to some of these resources, meaning that they can upgrade themselves a little bit better and hopefully be able to get through other parts of the game that would otherwise be inaccessible without those specific resources. So you might sometimes you get caught in a loop of, I need to ascend certain pieces of gear in order to do better in Sand Devil, but I can't do better in Sand Devil because I can't ascend these pieces of gear. Like, it would become this kind of catch-22. But now with the oil and the extract mixers, that is something that is possible. Yay! And also, I don't know about you guys, but I always tend to get way more of the lesser oils and extracts than I do of the superiors. Definitely not the superiors. And at this point, I really need a lot more of those to get champions where they need to be. The last thing I want to talk about is when it comes to upgrading skills, specifically for mythical tomes. Now, the other day on live stream, I finally summoned Lady Mikage, my first mythical. Huge deal. We geared her up like crazy on the live stream, got a stupid amount of clan versus clan points. So I'm working on gearing her up, and I'll do a video about her as we get a little further in. However, what I did not know when it came to upgrading the skills. So I had saved up a bunch of mythical tomes. I had 6 that I had saved up in my year of playing the game. I didn't know that you need a lot of books. But the reason behind that is because you have to upgrade the skills for the base form. And then you need a whole bunch of separate tomes for the alternate form. And this goes for all mythicals. So this is just something to keep in mind. And it also explains why later game players froth at the mouth for mythical books and why they go so hard. Because 1, they're really expensive and really hard to get. And 2, you need a lot of them. And you really need, and I guess 3, you really need to upgrade a lot of these mythical champions because then they're really going to be unstoppable and psycho. So the way I did this is I had my 6 mythical tomes, and I did 3 on her base form, and then I did 3 on her alternate form. But I ended up getting another mythical tome from one of the events, and so I just finished off my base form, and now all I need is 3 more books, 3 more mythical tomes in order to have her fully upgraded her skills. But I just wasn't aware of the fact that when it comes to mythical tomes, you need some for the alternate form and some for the base form. So you just need a lot for the mythical champions. So if you don't have a mythical champion yet, don't worry about it. Save your mythical tomes. Don't use them on legendaries, because I did that and I'm an idiot. This is what an idiot looks like. Don't be me. Save them up while you can, and just keep in mind, if you can go hard for some of those mythical tomes in whatever events, or if you're looking at them in offers, you're going to want to get as many as possible because you'll need a lot for both forms. So that's pretty much everything I have. These are the things that I've recently learned and wanted to make a video about it. Let me know down in the comments if there's other things that you have learned recently that have helped you a lot, other features you've discovered, cool things like that. And if you haven't already, get started with your Raid Shadow Legends journey by using the link in my description. You get 2 legendaries and 3 epics. All these epics are super helpful, crazy cool, and fun, and they're also a lot easier to book up. Deacon Armstrong is fantastic champion. Miscreated Monster is cool. Love Yugo. And then use the promo code Monkey King for your other legendary. And that's everything I have. Thank you guys again for being here, and I will see you in the next video.